This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages right here on hashtag WeAreMovieClub. Salutations, I am Camerai, and I am conversation ready. This week, we're doing a little bit of We Are Movie Club where we get together to talk about things and stuff and whatnot we are watching. And last night, we watched a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Okay, at least I got the right side, but the microphone was in the way, so I can just do the... I'm going to figure this out one day. This whole professional-ish microphone thing. What if I just do this? Oh, cool. It is that flexible. Get the hell out of my way, microphone. That doesn't really help. That's okay. Oh, man. So, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So, I will laud the original as one of my favorites. One of the only Marvel movies that I can watch back to back. Before this, it was the Avengers. And Thor Ragnarok comes pretty close, but it's no Deadpool. It's no Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh god, that's awful. We can't. Okay, whatever. So, how do I say this? This is good, but it's not the first movie, and you have to go into it with that in mind. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed because it's not the wonder piece, masterpiece, whatever the fucking term is. I make noise on here sometimes. That you thought it was. It's like, oh, I love the first one so much. Oh, but this one has Baby Groot in it, and that was kind of the synopsis, or not synopsis, consensus that we got in the room last night was Baby Groot's great, but he's not in it nearly as much as you would think as a character, because he can't do things. He can't really fight. I think he gets one guy in the whole movie. So there's like the ship going crazy and everything's going around, and he sits down with a bowl of jelly beans because fuck else is he gonna do? So he's constantly there. You get lots of good moments with him, but past the opening fight scene, you don't get a lot of like big moments with Groot like you did in the first one. Because Groot was impressive in the first one, and that's the Groot I prefer is Mad Killer Groot. Like a lot of people like Baby Groot, and they want more Baby Groot, but he doesn't do anything. He's not a good mechanic for the movie. We're already talking about things. Okay, so... Oh, I'm going to say something awful to start this out with, just because it's going to be funny. So, the movie opens up in like the 1960s or whatever, with some shitty singing by Star-Lord's mom, as her and his dad drive down the road, and he takes her to the Dairy Queen, takes her out back to the woods, because you know what happens back there. He plants a seed, and he shows her the flower from it. So apparently he says he planted these all over the galaxy, and she's, bless her heart, really too dumb to understand that he's from outer space. Like, she can't fathom it. I don't even think that she's stupid. I think it's just that it's beyond her comprehension that he's from outer space, still has a human body, and the fact that he has a weird looking flower doesn't faze her in the slightest. And maybe that's the celestial will happening there, but it is what it is, and we end up with Star-Lord about 10 years later, I don't know, being abducted. Oh yeah, the awful thing. I don't know, I thought she was pretty when she had cancer, and then seeing her live and up and about was kind of a weird moment. It was like, is that really the same lady? She looks different. I don't know. And maybe it's just the feelings I had at the time. I thought it was funny. But good for her that she looks that good on her deathbed, ridden from cancer. I understand it's a movie. I understand it's makeup. Calm down. And she's pretty enough. I thought it was funny. Like the things you notice. It's like... maybe just like bald heads. It worked on Karen Gillan because she shaved her head for the first movie. I don't know if she did it for the second movie or not, to try to really get into the role better. And that was impressive. Karen Gillan plays Nebula, if you're not following. So Anyway, so we go from this to fast forward 40 years and then some in the future because of time dilation. And it's them trying to get ready to fight some like space monster that's after the Harpillary batteries. And like they've got these cool jetpacks. They've got all kinds of neat tech this time. And I really like that. I like that they push the sci-fi aspect of like, oh, what technologies can we introduce? And instead of just trying to go for the fantastical through the different like creatures and aliens that you can find. Because it complicates the world sometimes, whereas the toys just make it fun. And so we get to see him like fight this big squiddy tentacle monster kraken thing, and that's exactly what I thought of when like Drax jumps into its mouth to kill it from the inside. Was the kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm like, this is a Jack Sparrow moment if ever there was. And if Jax just wasn't like as tough as he was, I'm sure the acid inside the creature would have like burned him severely. But at the beginning of it, like Rocket's trying to like piece together this speaker system, because fuck it, he had 5 minutes. And Groot actually finishes it off after the fight starts. So Groot spends the fight dancing to music, despite everyone yelling at him to like get out of the way, be safe. I think Rocket takes a bug out of his mouth at one point, which is kind of a weird moment because I don't know why he would eat the bug, and I'm not sure why Rocket would take it away from him. Of course, he thought fountain water was gross, so who knows? So the whole point of this fight and killing this monster thing, which eventually Gamora does with the sword, is that the Sovereign hired them to do it because they're mercs when it comes down to it. And the Sovereign are this whole race of people who are scientifically and genetically engineered to be perfect. And they really, it's really like a utopia type society where like they have all the resources they could ever want. They have not necessarily like perfect genetics, but the genetics they would want for whatever reason. And apparently they still bang because they talk about it a little bit. They allude to it. And Peter's like flirting with the Queen, and of course he shies away because he likes Gamora, and Gamora's looking at him like, you disgusting pig, because let's face it, Peter Quill. And the Sovereigns are dicks when it comes down to it. They think that they're superior to everyone else because of they command their own genetic makeup. And no, like they can't even like wage war with their little remote drones properly. Granted, the delay on that should be enormous. But the point is, in such a utopian society, they're all spoiled children. They all get what they want almost all the time, except when they compete with each other, or they compete with outside people. So I'm sure that's a whole big thing with them. Regardless, they end up getting Nebula. They earn Nebula. It's like a video game. They earn Nebula as a reward for the quest of protecting the batteries. Plus, Rocket rolled really good because he managed to steal some of the batteries himself. Now, of course, they're going to count the batteries and make sure that they have them all where they need them. And they're going to find that some are missing. So, of course, unless somebody overheard them, like, figure out that the Guardians stole from them. So they're going to put out the hit. And they're not going to have other people do it. Oh, no, they do. Never mind. They attempt to take care of it themselves by a remote drone fleet. It's literally like everybody lines up in the arcade, gets in a little pod, and goes after them. It's almost too much to think of them getting away from that many ships, and then they go through this quantum asteroid bullshit. No, and then like you can't fly through something where you can't predict the movements. It's ridiculous. And maybe the computer could, but not by the seat of your pants. So yeah, Nebula's real happy to be there, by the way. But like this is like a war that happens, and it's one ship versus hundreds, and they make it all the way through the quantum field, and then the other assholes went around. There's only a couple that pursued them through. Everyone else went around to catch them, and they would have been dead. They would have been straight dead had they not um, been saved by the guy who ends up being Star-Lord's dad. Star-Lord's dad ends up saving him. And he looks like he's riding a whale through space. Like, it's such a weird thing, and they only catch like a glimpse of him as he's just blowing up entire fleets using his celestial energy powers. So with his help, they managed to make the jump point. Their ship's in tatters, and I think, if I remember right, like, here's the jump point, right? The hole. They hit it, and they hit the side of the jump point and end up like breaking their ship on entry. Plus, Drax had managed to position himself outside the spaceship on a tether. Ridiculous. With a gun to actually shoot down some of the ships, which is interesting tactic. Though the fact that he's still out there when the ship is crashing onto this other planet through the woods and everything. He's bouncing off trees, having a good time. And he would have flown away if Gamora hadn't managed to grab him. And it's great that they take the time to show how strong and capable she actually is. Because usually it's just Drax is the strong one. She's pretty tough herself. By far, I mean, Rocket's the smart one out of the group. And he's good with guns, but he's not necessarily physically strong. He's nimble. But Quill's kind of the weak link on this team, really, when it comes down to it. I'd say he just brings the least to the table, other than being a Celestial. Or being half Celestial, as we find out later in the movie. Let's see here. We'll probably skip this a little bit. Of course, Nebula's screaming at everybody as she gets fucked up on the ship. And they're arguing amongst themselves, like, continuously. This kind of a running theme through the movie. It's like it's a weird, like, pendulum shift of togetherness, and because Rocket's probably the most volatile out of the bunch, they leave him to repair the ship with Groot, because Groot's gonna stay with Rocket, and Nebula, who remains handcuffed to the ship, essentially. But Star-Lord's dad comes by to have a chat and meet his son and take them all back. And so that's where most of them go, along with Mantis, who is an interesting addition to the Guardians. And I'm hoping when they finally go to Infinity Wars or Guardians 3 or whatever, that she sticks around. I think she's an interesting enough character as an auxiliary. And maybe she won't be out there, like, fighting. But maybe she'll hang out on the ship and, like, learn how to pilot. Or she'll learn how to, like, increase her empath abilities to be able to command sleep, something like that. I can see that being a thing. Like, that's kind of a fucked up superpower, though. It's like, I am Sleep Man. I can make people sleep. Sandman. If there wasn't already a Sandman in the Marvel Universe that was a significant person, like, I didn't, like, on a cosmic scale, no, but, like, in the real world as a comic, I think Sandman's pretty important. It's definitely got a cool power, regardless. Okay, so yeah, so they're playing around with her empathy and talking to Mantis and getting on, and she bonds pretty well for having no social skills, because she's basically, they describe her later as a pet, so she's basically a slave. She's interacted with nobody her entire life that she remembers except for Ego, so who knows what's going on there. Let's see. And, of course, we get to see this brothel planet. I want to know more about where it is and what happens, because I don't think it's the whole planet that's a brothel, but it's a planet with a brothel on it. We get to see Howard the Duck, and surprise, surprise, his date, or whatever there, is Molly Quinn, of all people. If you've ever seen Castle, she played the daughter. She was, like, the little ginger daughter lady. Let's see here. Where are we at? Oh yeah. And we finally get some backstory on the Ravagers. Not that you asked for it, but, like, I was kind of curious the first movie. Like, what are these guys' deal? What is the point of them? Are they just a criminal society that happened to put themselves up? And quite frankly, like, I don't give a damn about like why they are what they are, but, like, seeing it was actually interesting, being like, and it was like the most weird exposition I've ever seen, because it was given via shouting during this argument. Because the Stallone's coming at Yondu that he's not a real Ravager anymore. He's been disbanded. That the 99 other factions are going to blacklist this establishment because of the one faction being served there. Which is interesting that they have that kind of network ability. And that Yondu has these other friends or whatever, like that from a previous life or whatever you want to call it. And we find out that the big thing is that he dealt in kids. He did human trafficking for kids, which I don't know why that's on the list of things they don't do, but it is, and that's what's important. So the job that he took from Ego to go get Quill, which gave us the Star-Lord's origin story, and basically the whole franchise regarding the galaxy. He wasn't supposed to do. He went against his own codes, and so like especially in all that, he's had to build everything on his own and stand on his own as a leader of Ravagers, of a Ravager clan. So that means on top of all that he it's probably where he got all these disreputable assholes that like maybe they wouldn't have fit in like as a Ravagers in the beginning, but as he needs more people, he has to go to places to find them. Especially after Xandar, like where they had to have lost a lot of Ravagers during that. So let's see here. Oh yeah, so on the brothel planet, the Sovereign managed to show up and find Yondu and hire him to go kill or capture the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they would have settled for bringing the batteries back. Honestly, but that's not Yondu's thing, because he could sell the batteries for quite a bit and then still make a profit instead of taking whatever the Sovereign were offering, which is probably the batteries anyways. It's like, well, we'll just keep the batteries and move on. And I don't understand like what the crew's problem with this is. It's like it's just another little faction or whatever that like the captain makes deals as the captain will. Like I'm really surprised that he didn't just kill half of them right there, and maybe he would have if after they going through all the trouble of hunting them down and going through Rocket's traps and having Rocket beat the shit out of one of them while getting the other one shot, and Yondu pinning him down, because that's all it took. That Nebula gets released by Baby Groot, and she shoots him in the head. And not even in the head. Like she shoots the fin off the top of his head. So she removed his power and knocked him out. And it gives reality to the opportunity that we've heard the whole movie so far, that the crew, or some of the crew, thinks that Yondu's weak. And that they can take over. Taserface can take over. God, Taserface. So of course they round up them and bring them back to the ship. Sovereign wanted to kill Rocket herself, I think is what she said, and then Yondu's got bounties in like what they said 12 Kree provinces or some shit. So of course they're gonna go and ransom them out. It is what it is. So she keeps the crew from ridiculously killing Yondu and Rocket, along with this trail of bodies. And Yondu makes the right call later. I'll circle back to that because fucked up, but awesome. So of course, like back on Ego, it's really weird, like the way they split it up, because it almost jumbles it too much. I think that's part of what I don't like about the movie, is that the scene transitions aren't fluid. They're in pace with each other, and obviously when they hook up later, it makes sense. But I almost rather would have had longer scenes from each group and less transitions. I think the transitions are what got me, because they were just so jarring. It's like, oh, on this planet, oh, on the Ravager ships, oh, on this planet. Or on Ego, like Ego's obviously manipulating Quill. It's very clear. He's telling them stories. He's making them feel good. He's like, "Oh, I'm finally your dad. Look, I'll teach you how to make a ball out of energy, and then we'll play catch with it." Um, um, it's really funny when you think about it. It's a little ridiculous as well. So there's a lot of bonding there, like Drax and Mantis bond, Gamora and Quill bond here and there. Ego's bonding with Quill, as he probably should, if you will. But like back on the Ravager ship, everything's fucking horrible. As much as looking up on Ego's planet, on Ravagers, it's just fucking death and taunting and space rednecks. It really reminded me of StarCraft for a bit there, because it's just every freaking idiot making every stupid noise. Like they're taunting Groot, and they put him in a little suit that he doesn't like. They're pouring beer on him, and if Groot finally makes his way over to Rocket and Yondu in a prison cell, and they spend this, like, I'm just going to assume an extraordinary amount of time trying to convince Groot to go get Yondu's spare fin. And, like, he brings up back, like, Yondu's underwear, some guy's mechanical eye, a desk, a lizard thing, and he even brings back a severed toe with no explanation. So like Kraglin ends up intervening because he managed to get everyone else killed, because it was finally him traitoring or coming over to the revolutionary side that really sealed the deal. I think if that hadn't happened, Yondu either would have acted, or the other guys would have been more unified to fight in place of Yondu, or for his protection, because apparently they got beat pretty quick anyways, and put out the airlock one by one. So they get through this, they get out of there finally, they get the fin installed. Taserface manages to actually alert everyone that Yondu has the fin, and it's a video game moment again, where it's like, oh, got my upgrade, let's go. And like he starts whistling the arrow all over the place, just wrecking shop on all these Ravagers. Like there's actually a scene where it's raining bodies from him killing people, and nobody can get a shot off on him fast enough. And that arrow's got to be distracting. There's got to be like a psychic emittance from it too that just makes it extra. An extra distraction. But like he's calling all over the ship. Rocket's even like throwing pot shots in there. Groot even kills the guy. He manages to just chase down the guy that was pouring beer on him and throw him off the ledge. And it goes so far where Yondu even like lights his arrow on fire somehow and blows the fuel tanks for the main ship. He has Kraglin ready to just disconnect one of the sectors of the ship, and so they can use it as a carrier, and they'd use that to do like 700 jumps or whatever. It's only healthy to do 50 at a time. They do 700 to get to Ego's planet, while Taserface, it's so stupid, and like Rocket makes fun of him hard. It's so great. Actually tattles on them to the Sovereign. It's like, here's the coordinates where Yondu went. Tell him the one who what made his demise was Taserface. And the Sovereign lady just laughs at him. So it's like, that's your ending. That's how much of a piece of shit you are. That the final moments of your doom, someone's actually literally laughing at you, at your name, at your identity. And I don't understand why, like, Taserface just don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your kids. Don't name your child Taserface. It will not go well for them. So before all that jumped off, Nebula actually managed to get a ship and fly to Ego as well, to go after Gamora. So on Ego, like, Gamora and Quill are having their ups and downs. They're bonding. They're fighting. She storms off because She's gonna fucking do that. And she's on a planet, and this will come up later, where there is nothing. Nothing, just plants. And so you hear wind and shit rustling, and there's actually like two little things that are like rubbing together a little bit. And then she shortcuts one of them so that it stops making the noise. She hears the whine of a ship. What's that? No. Start the running. And Nebula's coming in hot. She's like shooting at her sister. She tries to hit her with the ship, of all things. And before she like takes back up, she chases her into a cave. And like, not smart at all. Just blind rage of pursuing, to pursue and shoot and maim Gamora one way or the other. It's pretty ridiculous when it comes down to it. And it's so bad that like she ends up flying into this cave, knocking parts of her ship off, and traps herself in a fire in the ship at the end of this cave. But knowing that like Nebula's not going to give up, Gamora picks up the ship-mounted weapon. It's not a crew-served weapon. It's a ship-mounted weapon. Manages to jerry-rig it and actually like fire at her. Gamora, it's such a cool scene watching Gamora like just nail the shit out of Nebula with that gun, and Nebula not even dying, and then having to pull her out and have Nebula attack her again. Damn right, it was like, what the fuck is happening? Hey Michael, welcome to the stream. We're talking about here's our Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So that was a real special moment. It was really cool to see that, and like it's cool from like a perspective of like having strong women characters in there, even if they're fighting each other. But it's important to just note, like in general, that she is that strong, that capable, and that smart too, to be able to jury rig that to actually fire while she's holding it. And that's the type of thing that you can do in these space movies, which I really like. It's part of what makes it fun for me. Okay, whatever. I don't understand. Guys like, oh, this is rated R. And I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. If it means my streams, it's there to cover me. Like, oh, you were talking about this. You were watching this. That's your fault. It is absolutely your fault if you watch something that you're offended by. It's my fault if I watch something that I'm offended by. I got a feeling. Do. Let's see. Where were we? Oh yeah. So I can't believe she attacks her again. Karen Gillan like really embodies this character well. I like seeing her in like a nasty villain role. But they actually like have this weird heart-to-heart as they're trying to kill each other and everything. So watching those two characters kind of like reconcile in this cave of death, as it turns out, is really kind of ironic and a neat juxtaposition from a writing standpoint as well. So like in that same cave, I'll skip ahead to this. Like they find this pile of bones. So like red flags immediately. And Mantis is a bitch for not mentioning it sooner. She says as much, I think. But just I can't imagine what it would be to look at that and just go, we are in the wrong place. Because again, there is nothing on this planet but Ego and the little plants or whatever that he's grown. And I'm pretty sure there isn't microscopic life either. So what ate the meat on those? Did Ego kill his children and then eat the meat off their bones, the flesh off their structure? It's weird. And all the bones ended up in the same place. So did Mantis drag them there? Did he magic them there through the powers of a Celestial? I want to know a little bit more. I want a flashback from Ego's perspective of like, oh, you're a disappointment. Something. But it's probably really graphic to try to do that. So, of course, as they're doing all that, and Rocket's on his way to save Quill, and he has a weird heart-to-heart with Yondu around the same time about like who they are and that they're very similar as a person, or they're the same, or whatever you want to call it. During that whole same time period, like Ego's really pumping Quill. He's trying to convince him that he's immortal and that he should leave his friends and his girlfriend and everyone behind, that they don't really matter. And I can't imagine this guy's perspective, because he was just having conversations with them, like he was just having a good time, as if they were equals, as if they were people that he could talk to. I understand the perspective that like from Prometheus, where the alien creature looks down, looks at the things that he made, go, oh, that's neat, they made a toy, what is this? Fuck this, why would I listen to you, ants? That I understand a little bit more. Ultron, I understand that he would think down and think of humans as lesser, but to be able to like just, that's like blindingly sociopathic to be like, yeah, Ant, you're my friend, but I'll kill you later, it's fine because you don't matter. But the same kind of crazy shit we teach little girls, like to have tea parties with their imaginary friends and shit. You having problems? What are you doing? Yeah, you. Okay, I'm sorry. I've just never seen a cat move a box around so much from the outside. So Mantis finally like kicks into gear and like tells Drax they're actually in danger. Gamora's right behind it, like threatening Mantis, and right after she finally spilled the Drax. By that point, I think he's started, or Ego has started to like tentacle porn Quill. Like, and if you have to put a psychic tentacle through someone's chest, they're probably not your buddy. They probably don't want to help you. Oh, and that was, I'm sorry, that I apologize. That was in response to Quill shooting him a whole bunch and then turning into David Hasselhoff for some reason. But he admitted to killing Quill's mom, which set him off. And then he squishes his Walkman in like a moment of like, when I was a child, I had childish things. When I became a man, I put childish things behind me and looked forward to being a man. It was kind of like one of those moments, and it's like, oh, that's a Walkman. You know how hard that is to get anymore? I don't know if they saved the tape or not. I can't remember. But it is the future. Oh, yeah, Kraglin gives him a Zune at some point, too. So there's that. Yeah, I think it's at the end of this movie. So there's just so much going on at once right there. And, of course, by the time Ego's got Quill tentacle chested, oh man, everyone else has decided to come save him, and like we're into the final third act, final climactic type thing where they decide they've got to kill Ego, but the Sovereigns show up. It's really a mess. So it's like you've got like this fleet of ships interfering with what should be a stealth mission while Mantis has him sleeping. Though I don't know if that puts him into a dream state and then he actively fights it, or if or what. I don't know what the perspective is there, because they don't share that with us. I just know that she gets hit by a piece of Sovereign ship or something right before Drax can warn her, and then life moves on, I guess. Oh man. Let's see. I'm trying to think what to tell about this fight, because it's really interesting, because they've got all these laser things going on from the mining ship that they're using. So that's cool that they can use that to actually kill the Sovereign ships, which is what they do, and then eventually the ship falls out of the sky. So they've got to like rely on their abilities and their skills to get out of this pit that they're in, because they're at the core of the planet, essentially. Granted, it's a small planet, and they have to do the button thing. And the button thing with Baby Groot is crazy. I'm not even sure how Baby Groot really gets out of there, because they're totally under the impression that they're just going to die because he's going to hit the wrong button. nobody can physically get to Baby Groot, and then they can't just sit there and wait for him to come out. And Groot does not have a comm. He can't even go, I am Groot, over. Like, he can't do that. So, miracle that he gets out of there. Everything going on with Ego, miracle that Quill distracts him. And, like, that's some funny fight scenes going on there with, like, him becoming Pac-Man and versus Ego's face. And it was a really creative fight. I can't say that it was necessarily, like, the most awesome fight of all time. It wasn't Hulk versus Thor, but it was interesting. And then there's that great moment where it's Kurt Russell versus Chris Pratt, and it's like, if you kill me, you'll be ordinary just like everybody else. And it's like, well, what's wrong with that? So it was finally, like, kind of showing Ego's true colors of things. And there's nothing to say that, like, Quill couldn't possibly still be powered up. The amazing amount of luck that he has. Honestly, probably the next time he gets a chance to grab an Infinity Stone will probably be how they determine that. Now, if I'm remembering right, because we're pretty much at the end of the movie there. So there's some really funny stuff in there. Go watch that fight scene. Totally worth it. Even if you don't watch the entire movie, go watch the last, like, 20 minutes. The feels that the movie ends on, though. Let's take a moment. Be a little bit more serious about that. Spoilers, if you don't want to hear it, go away. Yondu dies. Even after his "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all" moment, which is fucking hilarious. There's just not enough equipment, supposedly, to get everybody off the planet right. So everyone else evacs. Yondu stays behind to save Quill. Because why not, I guess, really, when it comes down to it. Even though, like, Quill's, like, the immortal, and his mask did get broken. I keep forgetting that his mask got broke. But the ship could have came and got him. If they had, like, radio ahead or whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Like, I really think that they should have been able to save everybody. I think there was a way, and just nobody did it. And I blame Kraglin a little bit, because he should have. Now, he was following orders, but he should have disobeyed orders to hang out so that they could have flown to the ship, and then the ship could take off. Because they shouldn't have been able to get as far out of Atmo as they could with a jetpack. That was crazy. So, of course, with Yondu being dead, it was said that, like, he wouldn't get the horns, he wouldn't see the lights. But his friends give him the warmest special funeral they can, and then Rocket put out word to the rest of the Ravagers, and the Ravagers all showed up for the funeral because of the sacrifice he made to save everyone else and fight for what was right and just, especially against the guy who hired him to traffic the kid that busted him in the first place, or the kids actually that busted him in the first place from being a Ravager. So there's, like, a really nice poetic license to all this, but in this type of future, I much would have rather, like, clone, or, like, yeah, we can bring it back. Zoop. It's not the future. I keep forgetting it's not the future. It's just space, with better technology, which is basically the future. So yeah, and there's lots of bonding between everyone. Everyone's hugging and everything, and we even see the other Ravager captains, team up. One of the Asian lady being one of the captains from Star Trek Discovery. She's also the Emperor or whatever, because the dual universe thing going on. So that was kind of cool to see. And then the very last thing we see in the extra credit scenes is the Sovereign talking, and Aisha's lost her friggin' mind. She's all, like, hair tousled and everything, studying something. And, Miss, what is that? Like, it's the next step in our evolution. And it's a cocoon, apparently, is what you call it, of atoms. And it's supposedly, like, there's an Infinity Stone inside that. I gotta research Atom. I should have done that before this. But honestly, I forgot. I'll probably forget again. That's fine. But, with Infinity War coming so quickly, and I remember there being a blue and a purple stone, so it's the Tesseract and the stone from Xandar. Who knows how Thanos got the one from Xandar? He probably killed his way there. He probably beat up Loki for the Tesseract. So that's the two I remember seeing. We see in the the trailer, I think both trailers, he takes the Mind Stone from Vision. So it's 3. Where's the Ether at? I guess the Ether's was on Asgard, wasn't it? Where'd it go? Because the Elf Lord... Oh, man. So the Elf Lord sucked it up into Thor 2. I don't know where it went. I would assume it went to Asgard into the vault along with the Tesseract, but I don't know. So let's call the red missing, but that's 3 stones: the purple, the blue, the yellow. I'm gonna assume Adam's the white one. What's the other one? The green one. Oh, it's the one Doctor Strange has. And we see him being tortured in the second trailer, so we know that he gets compromised. So probably it's very clear, I think, by the end of Infinity War, Thanos will have all 5 Infinity Stones. 6? I don't remember. Fuck it, we have the internet. Let's look. I can probably figure out where the red one went too, but Infinity Gauntlet. Let's look. Let's just look at a picture. I don't want to get too far into it. So yeah, so the... Okay, so on the picture, it's actually a picture of the guy from the movie. He's wearing it on his left hand, so it goes purple, blue, red, orange. I have no idea what the orange one is, unless the orange one is actually the yellow one, which is the Mind Stone, and the yellow one is actually the white one, which is an atom. I think that's how it is. What does it look like on the original Gauntlet? Excuse me. So on the original Gauntlet, I didn't even look on his thumb. Yeah, so there is one on his thumb. I guess that's the white one for the movie. On the comic version, it goes yellow, blue, purple, orange, green, red. Oh, sorry. Yellow, blue, purple, orange, green, red. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see what that one does. So the point is that there are 6. There's 1 for each finger and then 1 for the fist itself, essentially. And I think in the movie, the one in the middle is definitely going to be the atom one. Yeah, because they have like the purple, red, blue, green, and then I'm assuming yellow's over here because it's off screen, and white's going to be the one in the middle. But he's definitely going to get them. And he's probably going to destroy half the universe because... the Mad Titan's goal is all about balance, believe it or not. Thanos, like any good villain, thinks that he's a good guy. I don't remember Thanos going against Deadpool. Oh shit. I have no idea what comic that is, but they're showing Deadpool stealing the Infinity Gauntlet. That would be amazing if he had like Cable's teleporter and was able to blink in and steal it. And then there's the idea of like some of the heroes having the Infinity Gauntlet. Because who would you trust out of the heroes to do that? One picture of Tony Stark with it, I would not trust him with that power. Black Panther, probably wouldn't trust him either unless he's going to sit his ass in Wakanda like he wanted to once upon a time. Captain, I would trust. I think Captain's morally centered enough that like we could trust him with the Infinity Gauntlet. But again, like he farts wrong and snaps on accident, that's like half the world gone, right? Or half the universe? I don't know. It's a weird world out there, and the Marvel cinematic universe is broken. Even in the history, that's a comic with him Deadpool wearing it. Oh my god. Just some plastic toy. I used the cube to put a whammy on you, then a switcheroo, and I switched the Infinity Gauntlet. So he fucking swapped it out. Oh, I'd give Batman the Infinity Gauntlet. This is obviously not from that, but okay. Okay, so this has just turned into me surfing the internet and talking to you about bullshit. Even if it is the Infinity Gauntlet, even if it is the future of the MCU, the things that I want to happen is that in the first Infinity War, and this actually, you can, it's conjecture and corroborate. God, what is it when correlation, but I want everyone to lose in the Infinity War. I want Thanos to fucking wreck shop. Let this be the last movie for all these big names for the original Avengers. Keep Ruffalo around if you can, but ditch Starks, Robert Downey Jr., ditch Chris Evans. They don't want to do the parts anymore. Let Black Widow, let Scarlett Johansson go. That's not going to happen because she's doing the Black Widow movie. But get someone younger that can do the job in there, that wants to do the job if she doesn't want to do it anymore. But regardless, have Scarlet Witch reboot the world, because she's done it in the comics multiple times. And reboot the world into like the modern age with this whole history built. A new history that we don't know anything about as an audience, that is actually the comic book history. So then you can put us back into Civil War, do Civil War correctly. Oh my God, I'm giving away how to make money. Do Civil War correctly, and then that's the next 10 movies right there. Just Scarlet Witch rebooting it away from Thanos. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna leave while I'm high on that note for sure. So if you get the chance, go over to Rabbit/Camerai with us on either Friday or Sunday nights. And it's Friday 9 p.m. Eastern, 2100. We do Scary Movie Squad, and then on Sundays we do a double feature. We do Bad Movie Club, followed by We Are Movie Club, and right now we're doing Kevin Smith and Marvel Universe stuff on Sundays, going through the Alien franchise on Fridays, and we're going to take a small inlaid detour through with Predator on Friday. So come by, it'll be a good time. Or watch the other podcasts on it if you've missed it. I do have to remember to speak as if I'm from the future. But until I see you next time, I'm Camerai. Have a nice day from us here at #WeAreMovieClub. If you see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations. It'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.